So, Sunday, 14th of December 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog sharing smart stuff mentioned now. Understand Bitcoin itself and understand the problem Bitcoin solves. So, just over a year ago, I did an interesting video about those who need Bitcoin, understand it the least, and have the least of it, and those that don't need it so much, understand it the most and have the most. There's an interesting mismatch there. But what I've noticed in general, and fundamentally, I also think that education is vital for increased adoption for Bitcoin. But what I've noticed that people tend to understand Bitcoin technically, but don't understand its problem and the problem it solves, and or people understand the problem in general, but don't understand and connect it with Bitcoin. So there's an interesting mismatch there. There's a disparity. One problem is understood or the potential, but the other one, and that gap needs to be bridged essentially. Because I can think of individual who has the IQ to understand Bitcoin, technologically speaking, but and or doesn't understand or appreciate the problem that it solves over here with regards to inflation and money printing and the complete how Bitcoin is completely different to the existing financial system. It's just 0 to 1 technology, 10 times better. And there are people over here, I can imagine certain communities of investors in the world who would understand the problem that it solves, or this problem in isolation, but don't connect it as a problem to be solved by Bitcoin over here, but sees it other ways to address it, political means or whatever else. And I'm thinking that is a missed opportunity. It's a gap really for education and awareness, and something that's pushing that could push Bitcoin adoption further. It's a bottleneck really. This disparity between understanding these two problems or these two things and connecting them. That's powerful. To understand Bitcoin as a fundamental technology, money you can earn, money you can spend, apolitical, decentralized, with a fixed supply, and censorship resistant. And fundamentally, Bitcoin is mathematics, computer science, open source code, and physics, as in moving atoms around through energy. Very powerful. But over here, it's this inflation. It's this idea that purchasing power gets cut in half, standard of living decreases, or even just being on a fiat standard and just valuing things in a melting ice cube, so to speak. Those flawed ways and flawed metrics of viewing the world and measuring wealth. Those two things, I think, are important schools of understanding and awareness that need to be addressed, and naturally they will be addressed over time, even as the price goes up and hyper-Bitcoinization slowly creeps into every aspect of the world. It'll be forced upon them inadvertently. People will understand. People don't need to understand Bitcoin functionally to benefit or use it, and therefore they will be benefiting, and it'll be addressing the problem over here as well. But that's hyper-Bitcoinization. That's happening slowly in the background with the key decision makers here and there in the businesses and wherever else. And that's going to happen slowly over the next decade, easily into 2035s, well, 2030s we could say. Easily 15 years. 15 years at a nice gentle pace. 30 years at a really slow snail's pace, but it will happen. It's that meme really that comes to mind, that Bitcoin's inevitable. It kind of really is, in terms of game theory, economics, a Schelling point, whatever else. It kind of really is. But my issue is when talking with people to say these things, to say these presumptive statements, Bitcoin's inevitable, for example, is too much. It's a leap too far. Because and to go deeper, what I've subtly noticed is that you can spoon feed people secrets, let's say, answers. You can just tell them, buy Bitcoin, study Bitcoin, study Bitcoin, 2 words, boom. In one ear, out the other, they won't do it. So then we could say, right, well, maybe people need to get their fingers burnt to fully appreciate this problem and to fully appreciate this issue, the technology it solves. Case in point, you could say, I remember vaguely when Cyprus was having an interesting financial problem in 2013. I remember someone mentioning around, I can't remember, 2017, 18, 19, they were saying that was a time then people should have been adopting Bitcoin because they were suffering from this system with regards to permissioned money, and with regards to a bail in, bail out, bail in, with regards to a number of euros being lost in the banking system. And if the awareness was there, and you could also say if the infrastructure was there, that would have been a beautiful opportunity and moment for Bitcoin adoption in Cyprus. Yeah, and creating a more circular economies. But it'll happen in due time. More influences, more awareness, and more understanding, more whatever else. It's the 200-week moving average. I did a video about this as well. Don't chase the price, outrun the floor. As more and more people are buying Bitcoin and the gold rush, that's it. Even one half a Bitcoin, 1/10 of a Bitcoin, 1/100th of a Bitcoin, you'll be priced out because you and everyone else will have half a Bitcoin or a third of a Bitcoin or a 10th of a Bitcoin or 1/100th of a Bitcoin. Yeah, you and a million other people. But how many people have got half or one whole Bitcoin and beyond? Well, fewer and fewer. But that's an interesting way of looking at it. But that is interesting nonetheless. The more you understand the technology behind Bitcoin and you recognize it at its first principle level, that's important, first principle, and you understand the ins and outs of the financial system, the plumbing, the infrastructure, inflation, why is it 2% inflation target, what that means for purchasing power, rule of 72 in economics. You combine them together, you connect the dots, you reconcile them together, well, then you've basically got a new person on their journey towards being a Bitcoin maxi. Wow. I heard an interesting metric as well recently, something about 40 hours a week, 40 podcasts a week. You listen to 40 hours of Bitcoin podcasts a week, something like that. You will have learned a lot and understand Bitcoin at a deeper level. And the more you study Bitcoin, the further down the rabbit hole you go, the more conviction increases. Because what I've noticed, there's a very interesting positive feedback loop internally, that as you understand it more, it's education, you realize this is a smart idea, this is a good idea, I should have more of this, I need to buy more. And then you have more, and then you realize, I need to be responsible with this, I need to understand this more. I can't let my position get ahead of my knowledge, so I need to tighten that delta, shorten that delta, to increase that knowledge and inadvertently conviction to know what you've got here. Then your knowledge and conviction increases, and you think, well, actually, it's a smart move. Wow, I understand this better. That makes sense. That makes more sense now. Whoa, I understand this now. I need more. Whoa, I need it. Hence, and then you increase the knowledge, you buy more, whatever else. Hence the gold rush. Hence understanding the problem, understanding the status quo. Very powerful, fundamental. Yeah. And the technology itself, the more the merrier. Yeah. But otherwise, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.